Hello and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. Evangelicals to the rescue. That may seem an oxymoron in the case of Gaza and Palestine, yet the ground is shifting under a core traditionally pro-Israel pillar of US President Donald Trump's support base. The shift is occurring against the backdrop of legitimate concern that mounting criticism of Israel in the Make America Great Again, or MAGA crowd, is at times laced with anti-Semitism, and the rise of New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, a proponent of an Israel or a state that grants equal rights to all its citizens, Jewish and non-Jewish. Mr. Mamdani's candidacy and electoral victory have provoked a wave of Islamophobia, rather than the frank and healthy debate needed amid growing doubts whether a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains feasible. Ironically, mounting evangelical empathy with the plight of the Palestinians constitutes, among Western evangelicals, a break with their politicized anti-Semitic end-time theology that long formed the basis for the Christians' uncritical alliance with Israel. For many evangelicals, the end times involves the regathering of the Jews in the Promised Land at a time of persecution during the tribulations. The evangelicals believe that Jews who survive the persecution and recognize Jesus as their Messiah will be saved. A survey carried out by Barna Group, a Christian research organization, found that support for Israel among evangelical youth aged 18 to 29 dropped dramatically even before the Gaza war. The survey showed that support had plunged from 75% in 2018 to 34% in 2021. The shift in evangelical attitudes towards Israel was on public display when US President J.D. Vance, a proponent of greater US decisiveness in relations with Israel, was hosted several days ago by Turning Point, the conservative youth movement on American high schools, college, and university campuses, founded by assassinated activist Charlie Kirk. A confessed, confused Christian student asked Mr. Vance to the applause of the audience why the United States owed Israel to support it with a multi-hundred billion dollar foreign aid package, to quote Charlie Kirk, to cover the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, considering the fact that their religion does not agree with ours, but also so openly supports the persecution of ours. In response, Mr. Vance acknowledged theological differences between Jews and Christians, called for dialogue, and advocated cooperation between Israel and the United States when the two countries' interests coincide, but did not take issue with the anti-Jewish sentiment in the student's question. The shift in attitudes among Western, particularly American evangelicals, is compounded by the rise to prominence of non-Western evangelicals, including Palestinians and Middle Eastern communities, who account for 70% of the global evangelical community and may share the belief in end times, but have not politicized it. Theological emphasis is shifting. We younger evangelicals interpret the teachings of Jesus as emphasizing compassion, peace, and justice for all, rather than a political alignment with a specific nation, said an activist. The shift was also on display when the World Evangelical Alliance, or WEA, which represents 600 million evangelicals from 161 countries, elected Sri Lankan activist Godri Yogarada as chairman to replace Thomas Schirmacher, a religious scholar with close ties to the German political establishment, at its General Assembly in Seoul. In August, the alliance appointed Botros Mansour, a Nazareth-born Israeli-Palestinian lawyer with a history of mediating between Israeli-Palestinian Christians and Messianic Jews as the Alliance's Secretary General and CEO. For several years, Mr. Mansour operated a popular website that highlighted Israeli discrimination against Israeli Palestinians, who account for 20% of the country's population. The website invited evangelicals to visit Israel to establish facts for themselves, rather than uncritically accept predominantly American pro-Israel evangelical assertions. The website aimed at Western Christians, many of whom confuse biblical references to Israel with the modern state by that name, and often think of the Palestinians as a modern extension of the Philistines that Joshua fought in Old Testament times, said Israeli-Palestinian lawyer and human rights activist Jonathan Kutab. In a similar vein, the European Baptist Federation, EBF, elected Lebanese Reverend Charles Costa as its new president in September. The EBF groups associations in Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. At the same time, the Baptist World Alliance, of which the EBF is a member, appointed Jordanian Reverend Nabih Abbasi as its first ambassador to the Middle East and North Africa. Following an Israeli attack on the Baptist hospital in Gaza early in the Gaza war, Mr. Abbasi emphasized Jordanian King Abdullah's consistent call for the right of the Palestinians to establish their independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital, along the entire borders of June 4, 1967, a reference to the war in which Israel conquered the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. Evangelicals long constituted a main pillar of U.S. support for Israel. They still are, but the pillar may become shaky. It's a trend, coupled with the splits in the Make America Great Again crowd, that Mr. Trump and Christian Zionists among evangelicals will not be able to ignore. It's very clear that the WEA is witnessing change because the European and North American leadership is gradually being replaced by Eastern, African, and Asian leaders, said Reverend Jack Sara, president of Bethlehem Bible College and general secretary of the Alliance's Middle East and North Africa region. It means something profound that in this moment, a Palestinian Christian from Israel has been asked to serve as the WEA's Secretary General, added Mr. Mansour. Thank you for joining me today. The rise of artificial intelligence magnifies the importance of journalists with true expertise, top-notch sourcing, and historical depth. These journalists, like me, tell and analyze in-depth stories. Their goal is to enhance their readers' and listeners' ability to form informed opinions of their own. We don't just chronicle events. Our reporting and analysis are shaped by years of on-the-ground coverage, expertise, and historical knowledge. In my case, I have covered geopolitics, the Middle East, and the Muslim world for decades, having been based in multiple countries, including Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, Lebanon, Kuwait, and Turkey. Hard-hitting reporting, an analysis that lets the chips fall where they may, is even more critical in a world of brutal wars, unimaginable humanitarian crises, and increasing authoritarianism. That is the turbulent world with James M. Dorsey's mission since its inception 15 years ago. Thousands worldwide are avid readers and listeners of the turbulent world. Join them in helping to maintain and expand the column and podcast by becoming a paid supporter. You can contribute by visiting jamesmdorsey.substack.com and choosing one of the subscription options. Thank you for your support and loyalty. Take care and see you soon.